Awesome. All right, so my name's Ben Light,
And I'm Carter Benton.
and this is the advice that helped Okta's CEO build a $14 billion company. All right, so we have Todd McKinnon, and he's going to be the focus of this article, this Wall Street Journal article. He's the CEO of Okta Incorporated. It's a tech company that links various software applications together securely for businesses. Um, Okta is an enterprise-grade identity management service built for the cloud, using features like SSO, which is single sign-on, Active Directory, and provisioning to manage organizational security and control access.
And that's a
Across,
big topic right now, right?
I'm sorry.
That's a big push right now. We got to have
Big
data
one.
security.
Yep, big. And having that transferable information across platforms, and whether it be concur expense reporting to a company Excel file, the ability to lock that down and keep that information private is a big thing.
Okay.
Gotcha. So his stake right now in the company is worth about more than, at this point, $800 million. And Todd himself had a little bit of an atypical path to the formation of Okta. Unlike Mark Zuckerberg, who started up a tech company from his dorm room in college, Todd had a little bit of a different path. He spent his time in the quote unquote trenches, of kind of Silicon Valley, working for companies like People Tech or Soft. I think it's People Soft. Forget, the company name is leaving me right
Mm-hmm.
now. He's
Yep.
working for these tech companies, um, and kind of observing and coming up that way before he eventually started Okta in 2009.
Okay.
Go. So advice from all angles. Many people have a hand in Okta's success through their relationship with McKinnon. He had a lot of people from the outside giving him advice through the course of his life, whether it was before he started the company or while he was building the company up. It's known to us that wise leaders often listen before they speak. The
That's a
ability,
good point.
yep, the ability to be an active listener, is crucial for effective leadership. This goes far beyond just nodding and smiling and making eye contact when you're maybe talking to an employee.
Mhm.
It goes beyond that. The ability to accept advice and heed advice that you're getting from other people, is basically, in my mind, and I'm sure in cars as well, the only path to growth. If you want to grow, you can't really do it on your own. It's not a solo venture, especially on
Uh,
the scale of a corporation.
yep. You need to build alliances, friendships, mentors, the whole nine yards.
Right. So the application again of this information and the openness to advice can be the difference. Sometimes the best advice comes from people that aren't a part of your industry, as you'll see. We'll have some examples of people that came from places you wouldn't expect to maybe get good business advice, and eventually help Todd and Okta become, to the scale it's at right now.
Okay.
So a couple examples of people that are part of McKinnon's life. We have Ben Horowitz. He's the co-founder of Andreessen Horowitz capital firm. He closely monitored who Okta brought in on the executive board through an in-depth interview process and helped McKinnon understand the importance of bringing on the right people. A lot of times when people start a company and they start getting big, or maybe they're about to go public or make a next step, um, they bring on an advisory board of people. And you would think that maybe having people that are the closest to you, like families or lifelong friends on your board, is going to be a positive thing, and that might not always be the case. Sometimes you have to bring on people that don't have any bias or emotional connection to excuse me, the well-being of the company, and so they'll give you the straight advice. They'll give you straight shooter type advice where they're not going to be feelings hurt or feelings involved, and sometimes that's the best approach.
Sure.
Then we got Peter Gassner, who's the CEO of Viva Systems. He shot down McKinnon's wish to be promoted as a manager, when he was around the age of 23. And he helped McKinnon understand the importance of being well versed in the technicalities of the industry through more experience. McKinnon wanted to just leapfrog and climb the ladder as quickly as possible. but Gassner shot him down, and it ended up being a positive. We have CJ Ream, a venture capitalist who worked out each morning with McKinnon. He did CrossFit style stuff in McKinnon's garage, those are brutal workouts. And the fact that they were talking business through them is crazy to me. I don't know how they do that. Sometimes having someone like that to decompress with or talk about growth with that's outside of your business, especially in a relaxed setting like working out, or it's more of a buddy type thing. And sometimes decisions and some of your best decisions and ideas can come around when you're not in the heat of your actual work environment. So we've got Alexandra Morgan, last example here. She runs a family house, a cancer charity for children. And she helped McKinnon see what can be done on a deeper level when helping a nonprofit, utilizing more than just money. This example specifically, McKinnon was able to utilize his very tech-savvy employees at Okta to help Alexandra Morgan's charity on a deeper level. Help, maybe it's building a website or branching out to different ways you can fundraise, or being a kind of an IT service. Sometimes companies will just send faces and bodies to different charities to just show their support, but how can you help on a deeper level? And that's something that McKinnon definitely explored.
That's great. Now, these are his board of directors or his advisors?
Advisors. Ooh. I believe.
Okay.
All right, I'll hand it over to you, Carter.
All right. I will say that I'm periodically losing a connection, so if at any point I get lost, just let me know and I can go back and repeat.
Okay.
But one thing that we took from this article, like the lesson or the current issue that we might want to focus on, is that younger employees are wanting to do that leapfrog or progress faster than what is typical at a company. So we took this part of the article and focused on it pretty hard, where at 23 years old, McKinnon wanted to be promoted, and he was shot down and told, hey, you have to be an engineer first, you got to be more technical. And so what I'd like to focus on here is what's causing that feeling that we need to be promoted and need to jump the ladder and get to the next step faster than people have before us. And I think one of the things is rising college costs, and as you can see in this graph, how college costs have risen and salaries have not, that there's just becoming this gap where students are thinking, hey, I got to get out of the basement, I got to get a higher paying job so I can have my own house, actually start a family and be able to afford it. Mm-hmm. I think that younger people think that being promoted is the only way that they can do that.
Okay.
In many ways. And so it just kind of shows another gap again where the top 10% are separating themselves even further from the bottom 50%.
Wow, that graph is powerful.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of times you might hear these rumors that, oh, hey, my boss makes this much, or he lives at this house, or he's doing these things, and so younger employees kind of have a little bit of resentment and start to think, oh, hey, I need that and I need it now. And so I think that this widening gap kind of shows that maybe there is quite a difference between upper management and those who are just starting out.
Yeah, I mean, that clearly would see that.
And the other thing is now with better technology, I think that there's an increased exposure to like very, very high wealth. For like an example is if you compare The Great Gatsby, the two movies, there was one that was made in like 2010 and one in like 1974. One in 74 is it's pretty plain. It doesn't really necessarily make you jealous of Gatsby, whereas the one in 2010 it's just like something from another world. And you can see now, I mean, you can go right inside of like a billionaire's whole life. You can see their house, their car, and it's just in your face constantly. And I think that not everybody, but some people start to feel that that's what they need or that's what they want, just because it's constantly being thrown in their face.
Mm-hmm. So we have more knowledge at this point.
Yes. We have more knowledge of, I guess, higher wealth or those. And I think that, like I said earlier, I think
in the past we may not have known what all this money did,
Right.
and what they had.
Right. And I think that now there's a little bit more jealousy because of what we're exposed to. Whether that is a good thing or whether we really need to be jealous of that or not, I don't know. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
So don't need to get philosophical here, but
Sure.
just maybe one possible cause. So with this, all this thought that younger employees are wanting more promotions and all this, I went and found a study where it is the case, at least in this one study where they took about 1,000 working adults evenly divided among the three main generations in the workforce today, the baby boomers, Generation X, and the upcoming millennials. And what the study found is pretty almost alarming, that millennials were most likely to say that they are actively looking for a new job. They're most likely to say that they're seeking a raise this year. They're most likely to say that raises, promotions, and bonuses should be provided more than once a year. And also, they view that having their own office is a right rather than a reward. And I think that can obviously cause some issues because for some companies, a promotion more than once a year or a raise this year and people changing jobs consistently, decreasing retention rates can cause some weaknesses and cause a company not to be able to keep talent around for a while.
Do you think that the company the firm contributes to this by the actions they engage in? That they literally do things that cause people to want to look for a new job?
I think that could be a possibility, and I think maybe with decreasing retention rates, that companies may be giving out promotions more often than previously in history, and that now these bonuses and all things that they try to do to lure in, new and upcoming talent might be part of the cause.
Okay.
So, in the article, McKinnon, he did not get the promotion because he was told he needs to be an engineer and kind of start more technical and learn the details and kind of slowly work his way up. So I'd like to take this next few slides into what you might look for in a potential advisor if you were to promote somebody. And the first thing I started with here, if you're going to manage other people, you got to be able to manage yourself and lead by example. And I think that down here, if you can regulate your own time, good time management, you don't get too emotional, that you can kind of stay relaxed and calm when the pressure gets high, that you're self-aware of what you're good at and what you're not. And like Ben said, a good leader will listen and take feedback and say, hey, maybe I need to get better here, and maybe I need to calm things down over here. I don't need to be so aggressive in those aspects. And
it's almost at times we don't like to get feedback because we feel threatened maybe by it.
Yeah, threatened and almost like as if it's like a personal insult.
Sure.
That you're not good enough.
Absolutely. So when we're looking at that second bullet there, one's strengths, weaknesses, and potential sources of bias, that's essentially what you're doing in your reflections over the past this couple of weeks.
Oh, did you cut out for a second?
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, I think you're right that sometimes feedback is taken the wrong way, and that those who can take it and grow from it.
Sure. And what you're doing now essentially is by doing the reflections, strengths, weaknesses, making you think in a different way about some aspects of success you will need in the future.
Correct.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Do you feel you're getting use out of them, that it's useful for you, both of you guys, to do those reflections?
Yeah. Ben, you can go ahead first.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I do. I think it's always interesting to try to answer those questions when you're not in the context of a workspace. I know a lot of us and a lot of those that are taking this class, we're not in that work environment. We aren't in that full-time environment yet, just to try to to try to evaluate how you would handle yourself in that environment is always kind of a funny thing for me. But you definitely, there's definitely lots of, as I mentioned in my reflection when it was talking about the narcissism section specifically, it's always interesting to kind of have to, that it was on the front page, you're answering the questions, and it wasn't until you flip the page that you're able to read and get some context that there are positive types of narcissism in leadership.
Correct. And finding that balance is what becomes important. And I wish we could use a different word than narcissism.
I know, that sounds like a negative connotation.
Yes, absolutely. And that's not what it's about.
Right.
But it's hard to take a look at that.
I know, it is.
Yeah, another thing I think with the reflection is like you said with narcissism, I think sometimes you have this expectation of what the results are going to show. Like, oh, hey, I bet I'm a type A person, or I think that I'm not a narcissist. And then you get through to the result, and you go, wait a minute, let me, yeah. Well, I guess there's some truth to that. And I think, like you said, I think that's part of it is this assessment that's not a person, it's just this program online is telling you, like, hey, you're the one that answered, and look what you found in yourself. Like, you're the one that gave your own feedback.
It's you.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that comes back to the next slide that you put up here. Open-minded.
Yeah, open-minded. I think that potential advisors or leaders that are open-minded tend to grow the most. I think that if you can combine people's minds together, you can get a better product. Like if it's just your way and you're stubborn and you're forcing everybody to do your thing, I mean, your weaknesses are going to come out. And I think that if you can combine the strengths of multiple people, it's going to improve the process.
Absolutely.
And then from that, oh wow, this slide looks like it. Maybe when I converted it, got a little funky with the word. Right. But the next thing is communication skills, and I think that this all kind of meshes together as far as open-minded. Is that you got to be able to communicate with people. I mean, if you're bad at communicating, you might not even get feedback to begin with. People just won't want to talk to you.
Sure.
And I think that here, like some of the bullets I have is, you got to be a good communicator. You got to be detailed and succinct with your explanations. You have to know how to get your thoughts into somebody else's head and get them to understand what you're trying to get across. And the people that I think that's the thing, is sometimes the best ideas may not be with the best communicators, and then if you can have the best ideas with the best communicators, you get quite a powerful combination.
Absolutely.
What do we got here? This one, vision and accountability. I think that with any leader, I mean, if you want to take even like an example of like a football coach, you got to be thinking ahead. You kind of have to have a little plan for the future. And I think those that can say, hey, here's the plan. I got something at least. I got something that we can work with and go with. And then having the accountability that goes with it, being able to own that decision to say, hey, this is what I thought we should do, and it didn't work out. That's my mistake. I'm willing to learn from it and grow from it and move on to the next one.
What gets in the way of people doing that, do you think?
Which part? The accountability or being able to have a plan and see the future a little bit? Which one?
Yeah. I think that one, see the future, maybe with some clear glasses instead of what you have your rose-colored glasses on.
Interject quickly on that one with a quick thought before you go, Carter. But I think this goes, and I thought about this a lot when they were rolling through the different advisees that McKinnon had, specifically Reem, the guy that was working out with them, as I mentioned before. The ability to kind of take yourself out of the context of the company that you're working in or your work environment, the ability to remove yourself and still, talk through work or talk with someone about goals and aspirations or how to do the right thing. I think it's tough if in your day-to-day you're in the thick of work, and can you imagine being the CEO of that company, how much is thrown on your desk and how many people need to meet with you for 20 minutes here, 10 minutes there. So the ability to kind of remove yourself with a clear mind and look ahead at the big picture instead of what's directly in front of you. It's got got to be tough, and to have the opportunity to do that and have, people that can do that with you, I think is probably invaluable.
Okay.
Yeah, I tried out there for a second. I can give an answer on this as well. I liked what Ben said there, is that a part of it is being able to remove yourself, and I think that sometimes what makes it a struggle is that there is so much in the now, so much in your face right now, that you're trying to just get through it, just survive to the next day, that you don't have those moments to, collect yourself and look onto the future. And I think that if you can have people that support you, that kind of take you away from things and kind of refocus, like Ben said, that can be valuable. And that's kind of what you need to do, is you kind of separate from the now.
Okay.
Okay, this one.
All right, so just keeping sight on the small stuff. I mean, this was actually brought about by Reem, who we actually just discussed, with taking yourself out of the now. But as far as keeping your eyes on the small stuff, it's kind of, in a fast-paced environment and in a large company like Okta, I'm sure it's almost easier to see the company as a whole, especially when you have a lot of people co-managing each other. But the overall happiness of the people that are working for you is extremely important. I think that's as far as the small stuff goes. Sometimes when you're looking at company goals and you're looking at, we're hitting these numbers and we're here and we're there, that you still have people working for you, and that's one of the most important things to remember and keep in sight. I think I read an interesting article talking about happiness and its place in the workplace. It alluded to the pursuit of happiness sometimes being intrusive on productivity and kind of being counterintuitive, to constantly be on top of trying to make your employees happy and constantly trying to have events or socials or this or that, and things that might tug away from the productivity that they could be having.
But long term, by being happy, we may stay longer and in the long run be more productive.
Right. And I think that instead of making sure and looking over everyone's shoulder and making sure everyone's happy, I think the best thing you can do is give them the tools to be happy and put them in a good work environment. And the specific example you always think of is, and was mentioned in this article, is the hoteling space. Your office is going, under renovation, and if you're going to take the employee that's been hitting his numbers and been loyal and a good employee for 10 years and stick him in the wobbly desk in the corner in the back, you're kind of sending a message, no matter what his opinion on it is, even if he says it's fine, I can work wherever. You want to make the employees your priority, and you want to put them in a position to be happy, regardless of what they choose to do with it, happiness being a choice.
Sure. And I think if you're not happy, one, you're going to probably bitch about it with other people.
Oh, yeah.
And, it's like, if you're happy, I think I'm convinced that maybe this just comes with many years of experience, is it's more important to be happy at work than to make 10% more money.
Yeah.
So if you have a fair paid job and you're not happy, you would probably move for 5% more.
Right.
But if you're happy and satisfied with your work, I would suggest you probably wouldn't leave for 5%.
Right. And as far as productivity, I mean, if you care about what you're doing, no matter what facet of your life it is, if you care about what you're doing, it's a fact, and that you'll apply more, effort, and you'll spend more time, and you'll just put more of yourself into it.
Absolutely.
Yep. For sure. And I think, well, just to get, I don't know if this is the best time for this, but to give a personal example, you said 10%, and my summer job paid almost exactly 10% less than the job I had this fall. And I got to say, much happier at the job this summer, and 10 times out of 10, I would have chose the lower paying job.
Simply because you want to be happy.
Exactly. Yep. I mean, I think it's at any point in your life, you would choose happy over unhappy. And I mean, what's the point of having money, extra money, if you're unhappy with it?
Absolutely. I fully agree.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
This is a situation that's kind of funny, because I feel a lot of people find themselves in this kind of push and pull mindset with salaries and things, especially, myself, I'm a senior. And who's going to be graduating college soon, and I think people are caught between the advice you always get that says, go do something that makes you happy. Just find a job that you're going to enjoy. And then on the flip side, maybe there's a job there waiting for you that's, it's a safe job. You're going to make at least a base amount of money. You don't know if you'll be happy doing it, but I think a lot of people, and I'm sure a lot of people taking this class, find themselves in that push and pull. So you can pull helpful advice out of that as well.
Yeah, you should be getting, if you didn't get an email from me this morning, you will shortly. And there's a couple of job opportunities out there you might want to look at.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'll check that.
Thank you.
We got to get you employed.
Yeah, true. This is true.
You're staying around for a little bit, right? You got another year.
I got one more year left.
Okay.
So, but I still love taking a peek at those because
yeah.
a year's not that far away.
Yeah, it moves really fast.
It does. It does. All right, so we've got our last one. We want more. So we alluded to this, and Carter definitely did a great job of talking about our Generation Z, or the millennials, always kind of wanting more in lieu of the presence of social media and all these other platforms. You're only one click away from a profile that's going to show you someone's cars, their house, their what have you. And more often than not, it's easy to just look at the end result, and we find ourselves in our generation, whether you're about to be out of college or you're in college trying to build the foundation for a career. It seems like such a long and winding road to get to those successes, whatever your successes are. Sometimes it can seem so far away. And we summarized the article by using it as a great reminder, by slowing down and taking a deep breath and keeping your ear to the ground in a sense, and collecting the information and the advice, and being the active listener you need to be successful. Maybe you won't be a leader, but you'll still need those listening techniques and the patience to be successful in whatever industry you end up in.
Absolutely. I got a question for both of you.
Yeah.
Now, I listened to everything you said, and it seems that he benefited immensely from this group of advisors.
Yes.
Why don't you get a group of advisors? Why don't you each have 3 or 4 people that can advise you? Create your own group of advisors. Why not?
I like that. And there's definitely, if anything, this article has made me think a lot, and it'll definitely cause me, and that question as well, to take a step back, and you can kind of take account of the people in your life, and do you have good advisors? And I'm definitely going to be doing that. I know I have some, but sometimes you need people that are going to, not even family or really close friends. Sometimes you need people to check you,
Yeah, no, I'd encourage you to put a list of advisors to try to figure out who they can be. Alumni, tremendous number of our alumni will talk. They sort of have this affection for Geneseo and want to reach out. Put a list together, 3, 4 people, and see what happens.
Yeah, I definitely will.
That's a good idea. I mean, I didn't think about that really thoroughly until you guys went through the presentation.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea, and I think that right now there's definitely a list that I could put together of like my current advisors or people that I go to when I'm seeking out advice. But there's definitely opportunity to expand that, and that the alumni that I have come across do have that attitude of like, yeah, I mean, I was Geneseo. I want to help them out because they helped me out. I definitely feel that here at this school, even more so than some other schools I've been to. So
yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think that.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay.
Sweet.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we're both transfers, so we know what it's like we've felt the Geneseo love since arriving.
Yeah.
That's good. Good. Anything else you want to add?
I'd take on another question if you have any other questions.
What'd you learn from doing this?
What did I learn from doing this? Well, unfortunately, I was thinking that the millennial desire to just keep pushing and impatient and all that was I thought that maybe been a little exaggerated or a little untrue.
Mm-hmm.
And the more I looked at things, the more it was kind of hit me in the face. Like, yeah, it's a real thing. And then it got me to learn why is it. I always like asking that why is this a thing? And this presentation allowed me to dive into that because otherwise I don't think I would have, A, realized that it was an issue, and two, I wouldn't understand why it is.
Yeah, the why is always important.
Yeah.
But just like Carter, I'd say I just gained a level of awareness. I think sometimes you don't think about even looking at CEOs of companies. I now look at them in a different light because of Todd and McKinnon and the way that he kind of manages everything, gets the advice. I just sometimes you view them as having it all together, but these people are getting themselves checked and advised at all turns. So definitely was cool to read.
Yeah, good. Okay.